From haunted hotels, castles and libraries, to a legendary seafarer's tale, South Africa has the whole lot. So many in fact, it was hard to narrow it down to just 5. But here we look at some of the most popular and persistent ghostly encounters in a country that seems to be saturated with them. So hit those lights, sit back and enjoy. Castle of Good Hope in South Africa. Now this place is riddled with ghosts, all with their own reasons to be there. The Castle of Good Hope is located in Cape Town and is a 17th century bastion fort and is the oldest and largest colonial building in South Africa. It was initially used as a replenishment station for ships passing through the treacherous waters off the Cape, and at high tide its moat fills with water. It's a fascinating place and has a long history of death and torture, and is infamous for its dungeon, known as the Dark Hole, where prisoners were kept and tortured. However, it was not unusual for them to drown before they met their punishment. When flood water poured in during rainy periods, the first ghost at the castle made an appearance in 1915, when a tall unknown man was spotted on the castle's battlements. It said the apparition glowed and was seen jumping off the castle walls, leaning over a parapet and walking between bastions. He was a regular visitor for several years before he suddenly disappeared and wasn't seen again until 1947, when it said he hung around for just 2 weeks. The old bell tower that overlooks the castle is also said to be haunted by a ghost who in the 1700s was found hanging from a bell rope. After his death, the bell tower was sealed off, but ever since, the bell can be heard ringing at random times, and many believe the spirit of the soldier is responsible. Another famous ghost seen at the castle is known as the Lady in Grey. She started appearing after a female skeleton was unearthed during excavations at the Old Sally Gates. The Lady in Grey is seen holding her hands and crying hysterically as she runs through the castle. She even made her presence felt during a royal visit in 1947 when Princess Elizabeth and her sister Margaret were in Cape Town for her 21st birthday. It's said that several members of the entourage, including Princess Margaret, saw her ghost. The most romantic ghost of the castle is believed to be Lady Anne Bernard, a colourful character with distinctive wild curly hair who lived in the castle in the 18th century. She was married to a man much younger than herself and was the colony's first lady. Her ghost has been seen in the pool area where she was known to bath. She has also appeared as an uninvited guest at parties given at the castle to honour distinguished guests. Other activity in the castle includes lights going on and off in the dungeon area, and arguing heard in the old guard room when there is no one in there. Outside the castle, the apparition of a black hound is a common occurrence. The dog has been known to pounce on visitors before vanishing. And if that wasn't enough, the castle also has a curse that involves a former governor who in April 1729 wrongfully sentenced 7 soldiers to death for desertion after he overruled a court's more lenient sentence. One of the condemned soldiers called for justice from the gallows and demanded the governor attend the hanging. But when he didn't show up, the soldier put a curse on him, and later that day the governor was found dead, slouched over his desk. Witnesses say he had a look of sheer terror on his face. He was buried in an unmarked grave, and he supposedly haunts the castle to this day. The Flying Dutchman wreck at Cape Point. You've probably all heard the name, the Flying Dutchman. After all, it's appeared in Pirates of the Caribbean, SpongeBob SquarePants, and many other films, books and operas. However, few know where it originated from, and the story behind it, and why it's the most feared ghost ship in the seafaring community. The Cape of Good Hope in South Africa is known for its terrifying storms and treacherous rocks, and many a ship has been lost around its beautiful but deceptive coastline. But hundreds of years ago, trading ships from Europe heading to Asia had no alternative but to pass through the dangerous route. In 1641, Dutchman Hendrik van der Decken and his crew were returning from Holland from the Far East, and like all trade ships then, had to navigate the dangerous passage around Cape Hope. As they approached, a storm brewed, and the captain begged van der Decken not to sail around the cape. But he was a determined and possibly arrogant man, who had no fear of facing the turbulent waters and howling winds, and he vowed he would sail around the Cape, even if it took him until doomsday to accomplish it. Legend has it that at this point, an angel appeared to Van der Decken, and in a panic, he shot at it with his pistol. His action sealed the ship's fate, as Van der Decken and his crew lost their lives in the reckless attempt. Their ship smashed to pieces and vanished beneath the swirling waves, and all that is left now is the ghost of the ship and its fallen crew, doomed to sail the seas forever. Known as the Flying Dutchman, those who have witnessed it say it appears as a ghostly glowing ship, and apparently it's a warning to other travellers not to attempt the passage around the Cape of Good Hope. But sailors believe it's a sign of misfortune, and that the phantom ship is a bad omen and a warning they would not see land again. Although the ship is predominantly witnessed around the Cape, it has also been seen in other seas, and the Flying Dutchman continues to haunt the Cape and surrounding areas even to this day. So if you ever find yourself on the beach on South Africa's southern coast, have a look out to sea, as you may catch a glimpse of the infamous ghost ship, the Flying Dutchman. The Ghost of Uniondale. Uniondale is a small, unremarkable town in the Western Cape province, and if it wasn't for its famous ghost story, very few people would have heard of it. The story goes that on the 12th of April 1968, a recently engaged couple named Maria Rue and G.M. Pretorius were travelling to Riversdale to break the happy news to their families. Maria was asleep on the back seat of the car when Pretorius lost control of the vehicle on the road just outside of Uniondale. Pretorius was severely injured but survived, but Maria sadly lost her life. However, just a year later, Pretorius found a new love and got married, and that is when reports started circulating of a dark-haired woman in white hitching a lift near the accident spot. Unsuspecting motorists were stopping and picking her up, but a few minutes into the journey, they would hear a shrill laugh, the sound of a door closing, and feel an icy chill over them, and when they looked towards their passenger, she had vanished. She became known as the ghost of Maria Rue, and at one time, she was appearing so often that the local police department kept sugar water available to calm motorists who came into contact with her. However, in 1984, the sightings inexplicably stopped, and it was discovered that Pretorius himself had also died in a car accident in 1984. It said Maria was finally at peace, reunited with her lost love. Mitjiesfontein, South Africa. The old town of Mitjiesfontein in the Western Cape is the location of the double-storey Milner Hotel, which was built in 1899 at the start of the South African War. The hotel was used as a military hospital during the conflict with Britain, and the hotel turret was used as a lookout post, and its past is thought to be responsible for its resident ghost. First there is the ghost of Kate, a 19-year-old war nurse who loved to play cards with her patients, but she mysteriously passed away at a young age, and she now supposedly haunts the hotel and has been seen staring from the hotel's turret. She also has her own room on the second floor, known as Kate's Card Room, where she can be heard gently shuffling cards. However, Kate is not the only ghost at the Lord Milner. It is also haunted by the ghost of James Logan, who built the hotel and was the founder of the town. He has supposedly been spotted many times in the lounge area of the hotel. In the hallway, there is also the ghost of Lucy, a young girl wearing a nightgown, who can be heard sobbing over a lover's tiff. She is said to be a friendly ghost who favours a room on the first floor, as there is speculation that this is where she died. If any of you have ever stayed at this hotel, then I would love to hear your experiences and how creepy you found it. Africana Research Library in Kimberley. The Kimberley Public Library is located in Northern Cape and was built in 1882. It was a spectacular building with a wrought iron gallery, a spiral staircase, and glittering chandeliers. It also housed some of the world's most sought-after books. In 1900, Bertrand Dyer sailed from England to South Africa. He had previously worked for the Queen's Library in London and was a well-respected librarian. He was Kimberley's first qualified librarian and quickly settled into the Kimberley Library and worked on restoring, cataloguing and organising the rare and valuable books. But he was a greedy man, and he saw a money-making opportunity and soon started to fiddle the books for his own financial gain. He was soon found out, and the shame and the thought of spending time in prison drove him to commit suicide by ingesting poison. But sadly for him, he didn't die straight away, and it was 3 agonizing days before he finally passed away. During this torturous process, he said he left his soul behind in the library he loved. Ever since, he's been spotted pacing the halls in his Victorian clothing, often rearranging books and tidying. Today the building has been converted into the Africana Research Library and is one of the finest research libraries in South Africa. An old tale goes that for the librarians that work there today, if they ever need to find a book, they simply ask Dyer, and the book will suddenly fall off the shelf. So that's 5 of the most haunted places in South Africa. I hope you're enjoying all of these creepy videos, because we've got plenty more to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.